is Johnny Wrestling, or Johnny Takeover, as my shirt says. And listen, I want you to listen. Like, we're involved right now. It's crazy, it's loud, it's hectic. We're in New York City, but I want you to listen to the No Holds Barred Network.
Enough is enough. They're always taking their sides, careless and nine, plus and minus their divide.
Hey guys, welcome back to the No Holds Barred Network with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the EVP of Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies, and I'm always joined by...
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is the Ray Ramundo. See, we did it nicer today. See, Tiff, I didn't have to make faces, nothing like that. See, we're good.
Thank you.
So, but we are joined with a very, very, very special guest. He is Jeff Cannonball. How's it going, sir?
Oh, that's me. I'm pretty good. I'm going to apologize in advance. As I told you guys before, I'm holding my phone, so if it gets shaky, just tell me to figure out how to sit still, and we'll make it work. And I appreciate being called a special guest when you just had JT Dunn on. He's much better at me than everything.
Aw. So. Nah, he's awesome. But everybody's a special guest that comes on here. We appreciate everybody that comes on here because everybody's important that comes on the Under the Rope series around here. So definitely, you're definitely special to us. But yeah, guys, share the stream, like, share, love, do all that fun stuff. So, and let me know if the audio is okay as well, because if I have to make an adjustment, let me know. I should be good. So Ray, if anything, let me know if you can.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Well, I did the check, so
okay.
If anything, guys,
Perfect.
let us know as well, just in case.
So, guys,
Get more
here on the No Holds Barred Network on the Under the Rope series, that we do everything independent wrestling, whether it comes to wrestlers, promoters, referees, anything related behind the scenes. It's all fun and positive stuff. And if you have questions, drop them in the chat for us as well, so we'll read them out live. So,
make me feel important.
You are important. I'm so excited. I mean, come on, let's talk about this layout that I made. Like, what better way?
Oh, that was the best. That was the best part. That's the best part of me. I've been saying I've been cutting myself up for 10 years and hurting myself, and all I had to do was drink soda, and that's how I became cool to people, and that's how I've gotten more followers than ever. So I don't understand anything.
I don't know, like, I'm usually not good at like layouts, but shout out to Kyle who like taught me how to do some of this stuff. But I try very hard. Like, I can't compare to him and like some of the graphic guys that are out there. I'm still a noob, but I knew I had to have some sort of soda background with you. So come on now.
Definitely nailed that one.
Definitely. All right, so let's get into this interview. Are you ready for this?
Me, yes. Yes, very, very much. I hope so. I have no idea.
Maybe, I don't know. All right,
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. You know, you never know what's gonna happen here. All right, so let's start from the beginning. How did you become a professional wrestler?
Back in the MySpace days, I knew of like a couple schools and things like that. I had made some posts about how I want to get into it, and I'm looking at schools and just seeing if just like one of those like generic, like, hey, does anybody know anything about any of these schools? And a buddy of mine who's not a wrestler, just a good friend of mine to this day, he was in my wedding and everything. He hit me up. He goes, hey, another friend of mine does independent wrestling. His name's Corey Havoc. Corey Havoc doesn't wrestle anymore, but still a great guy. Keep in touch with him. And he goes, get in touch with him and, see what he has to say. So he put me in touch with him all via MySpace and all that. And I started going to these shows called NWS, run by a company called NWS, and small kind of gets a bad rep now because they're out of business, so people could say what they want about them, and a lot of it is very valid. But at the time, they got me into everything. They got me, sorry, I got a cat going nuts. They got me starting with training, and really just kind of got my foot in the door. Because of them, I got to wrestle a bunch of people who are still kind of doing it today, including like guys like Joey Janela and Danny DeMonto, I got to wrestle a couple bigger names through there after some basic training, and I've had to like go kind of relearn things because it wasn't, admittedly, wasn't the best training. So from there, I went to other schools and seminars and things like that. But very, I mean, Joey Janela's told his story time and time again. I'm very much on the same page, except I never did the backyarding thing, which surprises everybody. No issue with anybody who has. It's just I never knew about that existing. And but yeah, pretty much same thing. Kind of just snuck in the back door while kind of learning through veterans and things like that, and then going to seminars and actual classes and things.
Oh, interesting.
Well done.
I like it.
Hey, that's a way in. That's a way in.
100%. And like I said, I got a lot of good experience out of that, and I've been able to correct some bad habits after that and everything. So I don't complain about it.
All right, again, always learning, always learning. Let's keep it going, though. So I always like to ask everyone about their evolution character-wise and everything like that in professional wrestling. So how do we get from the Trollzilla to the Deathmatch Vegan to the Jeff Cannonball that we know today?
Trollzilla was only one show, and that was when I was like, hey, I got an in with Chikara, and they put everybody under mask, and I was all for that. So I did one show with Chikara as Trollzilla. I wish I got to do more. Things didn't work out with them, unfortunately. But yeah, pretty much it went, when I first started, it was pretty much just, hey, I'm kind of happy to be here. I'll do whatever I'm told. And really no character. It was just me, but I yelled a lot more, which is still kind of what I am. But I try to do the whole, like, I'm another tough guy wrestler, and I'm going to come fight and beat everybody up. And after a while, probably not till the past year or two, I was like, you know what? Like, that's not me whatsoever. I'm the goofy fat guy who lives next door to the serious people on the sitcoms and things like that. And I think once I started being more, I got a lot of comedy characteristics in me, but I don't think I'm a straight up comedy character. But once I started being like the goofy guy who also happens to fight and doesn't only do comedy, that's kind of where I kind of started to shine through. The Deathmatch Vegan was another thing. There's not too many vegans in wrestling. There's even less in death matches. So we put the two together, and I became that tough guy deathmatch vegan. But that kind of got me going on, like, what can I do outside of the normal wrestling thing? Because I was never like the, hey, everybody's got to be vegan guy. But it was just another thing, and it kind of led me into, all right, what other goofy things can I do? So that was my very roundabout way to say I went from not knowing what to do to trying to be tough to, hey, this weird deathmatch vegan thing's kind of working, to, okay, I'm just going to be me then, be the weirdo, like, goofy fat guy. And here we are. And now I drink.
It's a roller coaster.
Hey. So let's go into a little bit of, like, the fans that don't know you and hasn't seen you perform, but what match would you recommend someone to watch of yours that's never seen you before?
It depends. If you're into deathmatch things and things like that, anytime I've wrestled G-raver has been probably my favorite deathmatch. I'm bad with show names, but we had one singles match at GCW, which I thought was probably one of the best ones I've ever had. Tournament of Death 16. We were to the first round in that. That was a great one. So if you're into death matches, me and G-raver all day. That's the way to go. If you're not, and I don't blame you, I'm still going to be a brawly guy. I'm not, you're going to be a high flying technical guy. But if you're not into it, I know it's on YouTube for free, I believe still. Me versus Ace Romero from Limitless is a good thing of kind of me being me. There's still some, hardcore stuff, but there's no blood, anything like that. And then more recently, if you got IWTV, I might as well plug H2O's Last Extravaganza Night 2. Yes. It was me, Mitch, who's my tag partner for the most part, and Tony Deppen versus 44-0. I definitely recommend that one. That one was me being me to a T. So if you like any of those other guys, I'm in there too, being me.
So great. So great. We love H2O around here. We've had Matt Tremont on the podcast. I mean, we've had Tony Deppen on the podcast. Like, such amazing talent, and like I feel honored to just like sit and chat with you all, because like it's so cool to watch you on the screen on like IWTV or Fight or any of the apps that are out there to watch wrestling, and to like just sit and chat with you guys. It's great.
It's very weird that like IWTV is such a cool thing, but it's so weird to like get to the back and there's already a bunch of tweets and things like that for me to be like, oh, I like this and I like doing this and retweet that. It's so cool that happens. And now it's like like when I first started going to independent wrestling, like I would go see shows and then you have to wait a month to watch them again. And if you couldn't make it, you had to wait a month till the DVD came out. So IWTV is such a cool thing. I love that. That's absolutely killing it right now. But if I can digress real quick, I know we're supposed to stay positive, but Tony Depp, and you mentioned we can just forget about him. He's a garbage person. We don't need to even think about that jerk. Hate him. Never mind. He might have been in my wedding, but I hate him. Garbage human.
I'll make sure I clip this and send this to him.
Yeah, you know, if his kid ever gets tired of having such a crappy father, he can come live with me for a couple months.
Wow.
That might be too far. I'm sorry, Tony.
Wow. I'm getting blocked now.
Well then,
Let's move on.
let's try to keep it going here.
I'm sorry about that.
No.
No problem. That just broke me like crazy. Okay, so I have to go with the hard-hitting questions here. What does stepping into the ring mean for you?
It is, and it's probably gonna sound silly to a lot of people because I'm on such a small scale, but it's the culmination of every childhood dream I ever had. Since I can remember, it's not around here now, but I have a blanket from the time I was 3-4 years old with all the WWF guys on it. It's all I wanted to do since I was a kid, and I kind of, as you get older, as one does, I gave up on the dream and was like, I gotta go get my real job and all that. And then sometime through college, it hit me again. I was like, you know what, I do want to do this. So it really is. It's every single time. It's, hey, this is all I've wanted to do since I can remember. Since I was a small child in kindergarten, writing out like, what do you want to do for a living? It was always pro wrestler. Couldn't think of any other thing it was at the time. And even as I got older, kind of going back to the deathmatch stuff, like I got into watching death matches in 7th grade through, Cactus Jack and things like that. And then going to look up, Japan stuff and seeing guys like Mr. Pogo and Matsunaga and Onita. So for me, it really is. It's like, it's been there for me my whole life. And so it really is the culmination of everything.
Okay.
Awesome.
I like it. All right, so we got a fan tweet here from our good friend Chris. He said, "Has there ever been a soda that's been out there or so random that you haven't tried or want to try?"
Okay. Actually, yeah. So I've started going to this specialty soda shop. There's a couple of them. It's called Rocket Fizz. The closest one to me is in Staten Island, and I went there enough that the owner's always working there. And I'll just talk to him about soda, and he was telling me about a soda that's going to be based on spaghetti and meatballs. And that sounds absolutely rancid and terrible, but whenever I drink things that are miserable and awful, that's what people seem to like more. So I need to find that one. He hasn't been able to get it in. I haven't been there in probably a month or two, but I do need to find spaghetti and meatball soda so I could be uncomfortable on camera for everybody's enjoyment.
Okay, so I know there's a Rocket Fizz by me in Long Island. So
okay.
I'm going to have to, when I go in Levittown, I don't know if you're familiar with Long Island at all, but there's one in Levittown. So now I'll be on a hunt for you too, if I could find it for you, and then I'll hit you up.
Let me know,
because sometimes I go over there.
I don't necessarily say I want to try it, but it's what I've done to myself and the position I put myself into. I think I actually need to try it, unfortunately.
That is I forgot about that store, actually. I remember that they opened it. It's pretty cool that they have like old candies and really cool posters and old school stuff. So I know what you're talking about. So
yeah, it really is sick.
All right. So if I find it, I'll put a little bow around it, and it's like a little Christmas and like, thank you for coming on the pod.
Perfect.
Here I'm hoping that he does try it, so it's somewhat worse than Malta was to him.
Oh, well, actually,
April just breaking me that you did not like Malta.
Yeah, April just asked in the chat. She goes, "Why are you such a hater for Malta? It's not that bad."
What's worse now, my review of it or the way the completely white person way I say it? Because I've never heard it actually said. So I say Malta, which is clearly wrong. I'm going to take your word for it on this.
Go ahead, Ray. Say it the correct way.
But the thing is, it is a malted beverage, so most people are going to say Malta.
I don't like it either. And I'm happy.
I just didn't grow up on, because I've had a buddy of mine was like, dude, that's been my favorite drink since I was like 6 years old. I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But ranch soda was worse than Malta. I'll give you that one. So you got me beat on, or Ranch has that beat if that's the thing you
Okay,
want to
cool.
beat.
At least that works.
I think
We'll
spaghetti
take
and meatballs would also be worse.
I
do
feel like
think
that
would
would be
worse as well.
pretty bad as a soda. So
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
oh man. Okay. All right. So you should already be prepared for this question because I already told you I was going to ask this on the podcast. So one of the most recent ICW No Holds Barred events, you faced Brandon Kirk, and with that, how the match ended, could we possibly see a match in the future with our girl Casey?
I would be all for it. I kind of got my comeuppance already by driving her head first into a cinder block. But if we want to do it again, we could do it again, and I would probably have a great time with it. Yeah, and everything was going my way until that happened, and so yeah, you know what? Let's do that again. Let's do it again because I have a feeling it would end similarly, stopping at that cinder block and not going past that. Where I don't know, maybe Brandon Kirk snuck in the ring and pinned me real quick. I don't remember that part.
That never happened. That was just that.
Oh yeah, the whole. I think the whole show went off the air after the pile driver.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the whole
That was
show. Never mind. We were before intermission. The whole show ended.
That's it.
It was 39 degrees out that night. So as far as I'm concerned, everything was over as soon as my clothes were back on.
It was cold that night. I was freezing. That was a cold night.
It was a terrible time.
I give you guys credit to do these matches outside in the brick cold. Like, I feel for
don't
you.
Give us credit for being dumb.
Okay, you're dumb.
That.
Like,
is it still positive if I'm making fun of myself and the things I've chosen to do? Because I wouldn't give us credit for it. You're making your fun time talking on a microphone in the comfort of your own home. I'm out there cutting myself up in near freezing weather.
Hey, I was right there with you, sitting watching you guys, so I was there. So
so you're in the dumb bucket.
I'm
as
an
well
idiot. Too.
I was gonna say at least he's getting paid. You're paying to see it.
I know. Which
I don't know.
I take back what I said. On our side.
All right, so something obviously is serious wrong with me that I put myself in that position to come watch you guys.
Agreed. Except your body's probably not permanently scarred from things you did that night, and I am. So maybe I'm back on that side. I don't know.
Oh man. Go ahead, right to the fan tweet.
Yeah, let's keep it going here. So we got a good fan tweet here from our buddy Metal. He asked, "Have you ever tried the Buffalo Wing soda? If so, what are your thoughts on it?"
That was a recent short soda review. If you go to my Twitter, probably like last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I just did that one. So I don't eat chicken, and all I could think was, I guess that's what chicken tastes like, and it's absolutely garbage. Then again, I drank a mustard soda, and I love mustard, and that didn't taste like mustard. So, but yeah, it was terrible. One of the drinks that I definitely took a sip of, and then never took another sip of after we stopped filming. So. But yeah, go on to my Twitter and scroll back a little bit, or if you got Instagram, I put them all in my highlights, so you can see all the soda reviews there, and it's in there somewhere.
I was gonna say, isn't that the graphic that you based this off, Tiff? Was the Buffalo Wing video? So there you go, guys. He drank it.
It's right on the layout.
That was the thing everyone was trying to try at one point. That there was like a whole pack of like Buffalo Wing and peanut butter and jelly and all those that like it had its time.
I don't think I've filmed myself drinking them all, but I've definitely tried them all at some point in my life. Yeah. That's why I need spaghetti and meatballs and butter. I haven't had butter soda.
Oh God,
there's a butter. Oh wow,
God, I feel sick.
gotta stay on the lookout for that one.
I feel sick. Yeah, right. I feel like we're gonna have to, like, one day, like, me and Ray are gonna have to find some sort of soda that, like, you know, come to a show, and we'll take some video, and the three of us will, you know, we'll do. Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be beautiful. Especially if I find the spaghetti and meatball ones before you do, then you have to share it with us. So
wait, why do we have to share?
I'll buy three. I'll buy three, and then that's what I meant. No, because you know, coronavirus is going around. You know, that shit is real. But like,
I always say that I won't do it in front of people because I did it once and I hated it. But if you bring that one and you bring three of them, you have a deal.
Okay, awesome, perfect.
Well then. So let's keep it going here. So from the Rogues to the Friends of Tom to Weapons of Mass Destruction, would you say you prefer being in a tag team / faction or to be a lone wolf as you currently are?
It all depends. I still on and off again tag with Mitch as the Lone Rangers for H2O, Matt Tremont's company. We had a year-long tag title run, which I had a blast with. And honestly, it's one of those things where, like, sometimes, wrestling kind of gets to you and you kind of run out of ideas for yourself. So bouncing them off another person really does help, and it kind of keeps things fresh. So I don't know if I'd say I prefer it, but I do love tag team wrestling. But at the same time, and I've said this plenty of times, every single professional wrestler or anything to do with wrestling, if you want to get into wrestling, you're an attention whore, and as am I, and we all are, or else we wouldn't be permanently hurting ourselves for the enjoyment of strangers. So I don't mean that as a bad thing, because I've been doing it for 10 years now. So every once in a while, that bug bites a little bit harder, and doing the single stuff is a blast. And I don't have a preference, but I think I wouldn't still be wrestling, I don't think, if it weren't for tag team wrestling and having other people to kind of keep things fresh for me.
Awesome. So I actually like this question. Could you share one of your best road trip stories?
Okay. See, the first one that comes to mind was so long ago, but it makes me laugh really hard. So there was one of probably my earliest road trip stories. It was me, Too Hot Steve Scott, who just returned, so shout out to him. Buster Jackson, and a bunch of other people. I'm sorry if they watch this and I don't remember. This was probably like 7-8 years ago. We had a big van, and Buster Jackson, his dad owns a pizza place, and so he brought like 3 big pizza pies with him. And I don't eat pizza, so we're driving, and at the end there was like 1 slice left. So I think I handed it to Steve Scott. He said he would have it, and he threw it out the window, which like everybody thought was really funny. There was a whole nother pie left over, so I said I can't be outdone. I picked up the entire box of a whole pizza and threw that out the window. Which I think, to this day, the fact that I still remember that over what match I even had that day makes that my favorite road story, even though it's kind of an old one and there's been plenty of road trips since. That always sticks out to my mind. Or the time I, by myself, drove to wrestle at the Gathering of the Juggalos and didn't trust my car to make it, so I drove a buddy of mine's van. He was in a band that toured a lot. Gave me his whole van just for me. I do the Gathering of the Juggalos. We end at 3:30, 4 a.m., and I start driving home, and halfway home, and this was a death match, halfway home I get real sleepy, so I pull over, I'm going to take a nap, and then finish my drive. I fall asleep in the back. I wake up, and the entire back of the van is covered in blood. So I panicked, being like, how do I explain this to my friend that not only was the van covered in blood, but I found a pillow in the back seat, and I was like, all right, I'm going to use this pillow. That was ruined. Like, that pillow was worse than the van even was. So, excuse me, I call him, and I tell him this, and he goes, oh, I don't know whose pillow that was. That's been back there for months. Don't worry about it. I was like, that was the best reaction I could have to saying, hey, I just spilt blood all over the back of this van and absolutely ruined someone's pillow. But we don't know whose it was, so who cares?
Oh, wow.
Hey, it made the van grungier, if anything.
Oh my God.
Works. Rock on.
Wow.
Yeah, from throwing pizza out of a window to bleeding all over the back of the van, my life truly is a joke that makes 0 sense.
Well, now it's funny because we're gonna have Steve Scott on next week, so now we're gonna ask him about this next week on the podcast.
Now we have to ask about this pizza store.
I want up. Stop that, Steve.
I feel like he's gonna have to definitely come back from this. I don't know. We'll talk to him next week on the podcast, guys. Next Monday he's gonna be on, so make sure you tune in for that. So
I will definitely watch that. Steve's one of my best friends too, so.
He's such good people. I was so excited to see him last week. Okay, fan tweet from our best friend Brad. Where did the idea for the short soda review come from?
So unlike bleeding all over the back of the van or throwing pizza out of a car, there's absolutely 0 story to it. It was legitimately, I was at a store and I saw some root beer brand I never had before, and I really like root beer. And I was sitting on the couch about to drink it, and I gave my phone to Tara Calloway, the wife, and I said, hey, film this real quick. And I just started talking, and I put it up thinking, haha, that was okay. And worldwide, Alex Keller from AIW, he was like, hey, that's hilarious. You should do more of these. So I put a second one up the next day. I've got so many responses. So I was like, Or I guess I should run with it. So really, it's no story. It was me sitting on a couch being like, I think this is entertaining. Maybe other people think it's like a cute little video. So I put that up, and literally since I started doing this, I've gotten, I think, like 1,500 plus new followers on Twitter and
Whoa.
hundreds
Wow.
more on Instagram. I have no idea what I did, but yeah, there's absolutely no story to it. It was filmed this. I didn't know what I was going to say, and I filmed that and I put it up, and people liked it. There's no story to it,
Wow.
unfortunately.
That's the littlest things that catch people's attention.
It
So
really is, and that's what I've told like a bunch of Matt Tremont stories. Will talk to me about like what they could do, and I'm like, you never know. Like it's the littlest, dumbest things that you don't think are going to work. So just throw some stuff at the wall, and people like short content now and like extra content, like Danhausen and Effie and Warhorse. Like they're all great people, and I love them all as people and wrestlers, but like none of them, and I mean at this point, I guess me too, to a smaller scale than them. We didn't get over based on what we do in the ring. We got over based on putting up silly videos that entertain people that way. So I tell people just work on character stuff and put up small content, because I drink a soda and say 2-3 words about it, and people think it's the best thing on earth. So
no, it's
who
true.
knows? Who
It's-
knows? Keep making content, and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, there's a million more things you can do.
Hey, it's all about the wholesome content that I like, you know, like even when people wrestlers put up pics of their dogs. Akira, I love when he puts up Coda. Like I love it. It's the little wholesome content that I appreciate. It's like you said, it's the littlest things. So
No, yeah, you never know what's gonna catch on, and that's the best thing about it. Keeps you on your toes.
so
Let's keep it going here. So, I know, like again, we've been speaking about the solo reviews. I know that's currently the priority, but for a fan of the Flaming Table, could we ever possibly see that return? And if so, could we have a fellow spicy lover on for an episode?
I always say I'm gonna do it again, and I even like put a video up a couple months ago, like just kind of saying, like, "Hey, let's do this again." It's very hard to get people to regularly do it with you, to regularly want to hurt themselves for no money. But yeah, I don't rule it out. I still eat spicy things almost every single day. I still have things that are way too spicy to be eaten for nourishment. So I definitely have a bunch of things that are for novelty that I'll definitely get back to filming one day and definitely put up more. And you can come and we'll do it together and be two weirdos hurting ourselves for no reason. But it'll happen. It will happen eventually. But I'm lazy, and making 9-second videos takes a lot less time than convincing somebody to come over and ruin their mouths for about half an hour.
make sure you guys got like plenty of toilet paper too, just in case.
But hey, I always appreciate when people bring it up, because that means some people liked it. It didn't take off like I hoped it would, honestly. But yeah, I still get asked about it all the time, so it wasn't a complete failure. Just broke my spirits.
Oh, no, it definitely was fun. I always watched, I always shared, because I thought it's just, again, it's crazy to see, and it's fun.
Yeah,
I love spicy stuff, so it's awesome.
Cool. So if we could look into your gear bag, besides your gear itself, what would we find in it? Anything interesting?
Way too many loose thumbtacks, because I have a tendency of taking thumbtacks out of my boots and then not wanting to just leave them behind somewhere, so I pour them into my gear bag and then often reach into it and stab myself.
Oh God.
Wow.
So I don't recommend anybody digs through it. But yeah, honestly, I don't think there's anything else really. Honestly, nothing too fancy. Let me think. Yeah, no, probably some things that I forget about that I put in there and be like, oh, I'll get it later, and then I forget about it. I've definitely found envelopes full of money that I forgot I was given and found it months later. That doesn't happen too often, but it has happened. But yeah, thumbtacks. Honestly, probably like I'd say about 30 to 40 thumbtacks are just sitting in my bag, and every once in a while I reach in and end up getting stabbed, and I'm an idiot and forget to clean it out before the next one.
So there you go. You could tell Tony Deppen to go get something out of your bag.
Should. And then when he's getting something out of my bag, I'll hit him with a pipe.
There you go.
He deserved.
Right, go ahead. Skip that.
Well, then, so let's keep it going here. So, if there was one person you could face again in a heartbeat, who would it be?
Oh, so many. If I had to pick one, so this is going to sound cheap, but the first big name I ever wrestled was Tommy Dreamer. And I would like to do that again just to be like, hey, did I get better? I hope I did 8 or 9 years later. But yeah, that's actually one that I think about every once in a while, where he was the first name I worked. Had no right to be in the ring with him at that time. But yeah, that was he's definitely a big one for me, where it's like I'd like to do that again and just kind of see if I've gotten any better with him. Besides for that, there's so many. Like, I have a lot of fun, if you can't tell. I enjoy wrestling and I enjoy being a weirdo. So if I have fun wrestling somebody, I probably want to do it hundreds more times. G-raver again, I've wrestled him several times, but every time I do, I have the time of my life, even though it's some of the most painful matches I've ever had in my life. So he's another one, and he just retired, Matt Tremont, but I've had a bunch of matches with him, and I always get like ideas where I'm like, oh, we could have done this better. So he's a big one too.
That's great. I love that.
And Steve Scott, because he's going to be on next week, but also he's one of my good friends, and I haven't wrestled him in years, and I always have fun with him. Steve has a very good mind for wrestling. He thinks about some of the things that I don't always think about. So he's one of those guys where I'll come up with ideas and he'll find a way to make them better. So I always like working with him, and it's been years. So he's a big one.
I love hearing stories like that, like especially like you said, like with Tommy Dreamer, that like first match and kind of like that full circle, I kind of like feel like, but it's so good to like hear something like that. But so do you have any pre-match rituals that you do?
So I used to like completely soak myself in water, and if I didn't do it, I would feel very weird. And then I started wearing a mask to the ring. Talking's hard. And so like I would put that on over like all the wetness, and I would just feel gross. So I stopped doing that. But that's what I did for the past like 10 years. At this point, my biggest thing I do, and if you can't tell, I am a goofy moron. So I don't have any like put the headphones in, get intense and hyped up, because I'm really going to probably go to the ring and make a couple jokes first thing right off the bat. Excuse me. But my biggest thing, honestly, at this point, I do stretch, and I know for a man of my size, you can't believe that, but I do every match. I also have started over the past probably year and a half, I started taking smelling salts right before I come out of the curtain, and that just wakes me up a little bit more, and it gets me hyped to start screaming and being a weirdo. So that's my big go-to now, is I carry around the smelling salt, and right before I go through, I break it, I smell it, and to go along with me again, if somebody is close by and they don't know what I'm doing, I hold it to their nose without telling them and ruin about 30 seconds of their day. Frankie Picard, seems to always be around, and I've probably done it to him more than anybody. And every time I walk up to him as my music's playing, holding out this little white thing, he doesn't think to back away. And I've probably gotten him 4 or 5 times. So he is my go-to. But yeah, if you're around and I'm smelling a little white thing, it's just smelling salt. It's nothing
Legal.
glued. Yeah, it's all legal. I'm probably sticking under somebody's nose and making myself laugh before I go out, after I just hype myself up and then pull the mask over my face.
I love Frankie. We got to get him on the podcast too. He's amazing. He cracks me up.
He's a true wrestling weirdo.
He's good peeps. He's usually always trolling our chats too. He's good people. Love him.
Makes sense for him. There's nothing else better to do with this guy. Right.
I feel like by now he might just like the salts. That's why.
Yeah, maybe.
Just to the smell. That's why he's like, okay, I'm just gonna act like, oh.
It's very possible.
I can see him.
I did a show with him on Saturday, and I specifically remember getting him, and then in my head being like, that's gonna be the 4th or 5th time. I need to find somebody new to do it to. But you might be right. He must enjoy it at this point.
I'm dead.
Oh man. Let's keep it going here. I brought it up earlier. So, whatever happened to your good friend Tom?
Oh, so me and Jay George, the friends of Tom, both huge fans of this. It was an actual radio show. Now it's just a podcast called The Best Show, and the host of it was this guy Tom Sharpling. And so fans of it were friends of Tom. And me and Jay George were both, that's how we actually hit it off, is we both found out we were both fans of the show. So when we tagged, it became obvious. I think the company we did that in, and you can probably correct me if I'm wrong, I'm an idiot. I think they only ran that one show.
Yep.
And then we brought it back at Capitol for like maybe 2 shows, I think. But yeah, then it never happened. Nobody wanted to book it. And I think probably because it's a weird inside joke that most people don't get. So I can't blame them. But still a big fan of the Best Show. They took a hiatus. They are back now. And I recommend to everybody, if you're into like weird kind of absurd humor, I think it's like thebestshow.net. I get nothing out of it. I'm just saying because I enjoy it. It's hilarious. And me and Jay George hit it off and made a friendship out of enjoying it together. And I wish more people booked it because I had a blast, and we got to have like the associative producer Mike, who's on the show constantly. He came to that one show in New York we did, and that was just cool to me to get to work with him, things like that. But yeah, that's a deep cut.
Yeah, that match, I think it's still out there. It was for FIN. It was you guys versus the Super Savages, which I can't remember most of it because I don't know why. I'll tell the story now. I blacked out during the match.
Oh,
I wake up to the finish of, I think it was either you or Jay George putting Monte through Doritos.
Yeah, there was.
That's all I remember for that match.
That's about as much as I remember. There wasn't Doritos planned to be in that match, but a fan had a family-sized bag of Doritos. I think it was Jay George who grabbed them. We dumped them out, and they became the thumbtacks of the match. The only other thing I remember is Mike from the Best Show. I was on the ground, and he was supposed to do something, and he's not a wrestler or involved in any way. So, like, I'm on the ground selling. Not that wrestling's fake or anything. And I'm, like, pushing him, being like, go do this now. Like, this is your spot. Like, trying to be like, go over here. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And it worked. And a bunch of people came to that show because of him and because of the Best Show. So it's bookable. It definitely made money that day. None that me and Jay George got paid, but it definitely made money that day. And I think it could be used again, and it could still work. So I would like to do it again. I would have a blast doing it again. I don't think about it ever, but now it's in my mind, and I would love to do it again.
There we go. Come on, guys. Let's book the Friends of Tom again.
Hey, man. Like, it's all about.
There we go.
It's all about fun. And I can definitely say that about independent wrestling is you have to come in with an open mind. And I think that's one of the best things that I found in independent wrestling is that if you come in with an open mind and don't really like strictly think of maybe stuff that you thought of when you were a kid or stay in one biased opinion, and if you just let loose and be unopinionated for it, like you could just have a lot of fun. Like, I mean, this is just reminded me of extreme serious wrestling right now a little bit. So, that's definitely
which is great too. That's hilarious as well. So
it's great stuff. Great stuff. I love it.
It's something for everybody. If you aren't a wrestling fan, you might find humor in the comedy stuff. Or I know a lot of people got into death matches just because I think they just like violence, which isn't my preferred death match. I like death matches with a little more wrestling to them. Mm-hmm. But it's something for everybody. There's the violence, there's the comedy, there is that wrestling for if you grew up on, the Hulk Hogan's, you're still gonna find stuff like that on every show, really. Something for everybody. But yeah, like you said, come in with an open mind because there's going to be plenty of things there that are not what you're expecting either.
I mean, even you and Brandon Kirk hitting each other with the records, I was dying. I was like, oh my God, the vinyls. I was like, I can't right now. I was like, I'm dying. And then it was funny because I think I had put no, it was April. April's in the chat. She did a vlog. And as you guys were hitting each other with it, we started naming like, each album. We're like, okay, that's the Beatles. That's like Creedence. Like we just started like naming like a whole bunch of old school records that it was like the most funniest like bit that we were like doing. So, but that's what I'm saying. It's fun and I get the joy out of it. So you guys are amazing. Like I can't, I appreciate all of you guys.
2 adults sitting on their knees just smashing vinyl over each other's head.
I love it. All right,
got awesome.
All right. Infamous question. Sorry, no, you're good. Infamous question I ask on this podcast, every wrestler that comes on here. What's the craziest thing a fan's done to get your attention?
Oh, jeez.
You'd be surprised at the stories we've heard.
Oh, man. I mean, I wasn't cool to like up until recently, so I don't know. Oh, geez, I'm gonna make a whole lot of dead air here. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I don't know. I've had a lot of people just offer to do dumb, spicy things to themselves for my enjoyment, which I appreciate because I like spicy food, but you don't have to hurt yourself. And if we're doing it together, that's cool. I don't know. I haven't had too much. I've been offered a lot of money for things that were like pieces of metal that were pulled out of my body after matches and things like that. And I appreciate that. And I may have given into that at one point. So, but no, I don't know. I don't have a good story. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Sometimes there's good stories. Sometimes
just
there's
a lot
not.
of people asking me for like bloody shirts and things. Jesus Christ, I'm dropping my phone now. You threw me off. Am I still good? Am I still on here?
Nope, we're still
You're
good.
good.
We're good.
I just became the worst guest of all time. This is miserable. Where'd I go? My face isn't on my screen anymore. Oh, I broke everything.
Oh gosh.
Jeez. Okay. No, but yeah, I think the weirdest thing is just being offered money for bloody things that I've worn because I'm a 400-pound average size goofball weirdo, and people trying to give me money for anything I've ever worn, never mind soaked in my own blood. And I appreciate it. And if it's something I'm willing to sell, because there's been times where I've been like, no, I do want to keep this actually, because my mind doesn't work that well either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think anybody, including me, has ever been in a place where they thought they were going to be able to sell bloody clothes to other people. So I gotta say that's my number one. As soon as we hang up, I'll think of some wild story and probably never get to tell it.
How about this? If you think of something, tweet it and tag the network, and then we'll share it. How about that? Okay, so if you think of something,
get off here, go into the other room, and
you're
Tara's
like,
going to be like, "You didn't tell them about this," and I'll be like, "Oh no, I forgot about that." Okay.
Okay, so that's the deal. That's the deal. Okay, so go ahead, Ray.
Well done. So let's keep it going here. So Tiffany brought up the fact that if you would ever face Casey Kirk or in a match, but an old friend of yours currently holds a championship at Synergy Pro Wrestling. Could we ever see a road collision at Synergy?
Ooh, one of our favorite promotions around here on the No Holds Barred Network.
I would love to. I did a handful of stuff for Synergy. I haven't been back in a while, mostly just scheduling issues. No problem. I love Colin West, and I've been very supportive of him, and he's been supportive of mine. I would love to. I think there's a lot of people in Synergy who work harder for that brand, admittedly, who probably deserve a title shot before I, but being the humble character I am. However, I would love to definitely get a shot at that, and not just because of the title, but yeah, like you said, because it's Kirk, and I've known Kirk in wrestling I've known Kirk longer than anybody else in wrestling, who's still wrestling to this day, and I will promise you that you can't find somebody longer. I would love to do that because we got to do the ICW match and do kind of the bloody death matchy stuff. I'd love to do something at Synergy that kind of goes back more similar to what we kind of came up doing with each other, which was just straightforward wrestling and kind of just putting on an actual wrestling match and not cutting each other up with glass and vinyl and things like that. So I would 100%, I would love to do that. I understand why, if not, because like I said, plenty of people kind of, go to work much harder for Synergy than I do. But if it's there, it's there. And I would absolutely love to do that for sure.
Ooh, I like it. Hopefully.
And if his wife gets involved, I'll drop her on her head again.
Well then. Hope you're listening, Colin. Hope you're listening.
Yeah, I hope you're listening too, Colin.
Here you go. I shot
Book
Casey
me.
a text just now.
Come on, Colin. Book me. You book my wife. You won't book me. Come on. They just announced her match yesterday. I could say that, I think, right? They announced it?
Yeah,
yes, it's there. I just saw it.
I had a split second of like, oh, did I see the promo and I wasn't supposed to say it yet?
Oh, yeah,
no. It's all over. Actually, 21 minutes ago, he posted it. I see it on Twitter just now. So it's there. What's been one of your favorite moments in the ring thus far?
To get very serious, would be my first ever Tournament of Death 15. It was because for me, getting into wrestling, and I, like I said, I've been a huge fan of professional wrestling since I can remember. I got into death matches in like 7th, 8th grade. And I knew, like, when I first started wrestling, I didn't do a death match for my first 3 years. But I knew from the time I started that that's what I want to do, and death matches were going to be what I want to kind of make my name off of. Maybe not all I wanted to do, but definitely like I wanted to be a big part. And Tournament of Death at the time, maybe not so much anymore, that was the WrestleMania of death matches. And so from the time I got into wrestling, that's what I wanted to do. I remember going to the CZW school for the first time and Drew Gulak asking me what my goal is, and I told him Tournament of Death. And he probably thought I was a moron, which he would be right. But the first time I got to do it, it was TOD 15. It's on IWTV, and I think it's even on the High Spots Network if you have that. Me versus Matt Tremont. Matt Tremont is one of my best friends in the world. The reason I got into CZW, he's the one who kind of kicked that door open for me finally. 100% wouldn't be wrestling today if it weren't for him. And at the time, he was the CZW heavyweight champion. So that, my first TOG match was the culmination of like, all right, I'm doing this with one of my best friends. I'm doing it. The titles is on the line, weirdly. And I think it was on the line at least. I lost. I don't remember. And it was the biggest show of my career at that point. And to this day, probably still is, honestly, my most proud. I'm an emotional fella. If I don't show it right now very much because I like to joke around a lot, but I 100% cried in that locker room because for me it was like, that's all I'm going to ever do, and that's how I'm happy with that. I've gotten to do more since, but at the time I was like, you know what? If this is it, couldn't be happier.
That's awesome.
I like
It was a good match.
great.
It was a great match, honestly. And at the end of it, me and Matt had a little moment in the ring that kind of just cemented it to be this important moment for me as far as a wrestler or in my life goes, because it was a goal accomplished.
It's amazing. I love it.
And now here's the thing about soda, so I don't look like a weirdo. It's empty.
Jeez.
It's empty.
There you go.
Go ahead, Ray.
That's another one. You know what? If you haven't seen me before, that's another one. Go watch that one because I don't give that one enough credit because I think just the magnitude of what it meant to me overtook everything about that match. Like for me, it was just being there and like that was all I needed. But that was an awesome match, and I definitely that's one I should really be talking about more now that I think about it.
Well then, it's awesome. We brought it back up in your mind now.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you
let's
go.
start the whole thing over again from that.
All
first
right, let's
question.
start over. Hi, my
that's
name
it.
is Tiffany, and I'm the.
Restarting the podcast
welcome
now.
back
That's
to the
it.
No Holds Barred
We
Network.
talk about this. Okay, let's keep it going though. So you've mentioned it a couple times, but for those that may not know, you are married to the lovely Tara Calloway, and you both get to share this amazing thing we call professional wrestling. I have to ask, how does it feel? You guys have gotten to share some amazing moments in the ring and even outside in professional wrestling. How does it all feel to get to do this?
It's bizarre, honestly, because it's one of those things where as soon as you get into wrestling and probably even not being completely like, knee deep in wrestling, you always hear like, hey, don't get involved with somebody else in the business and things like that. But we hit it, we didn't hit it off immediately. I tried kind of hard for a while. But eventually we started dating and everything went well. And now we are married and live together and have 3 cats. But yeah, it's such a cool thing. And like I said, like they say, don't date within the business, which I will admit from being around for so long, I've seen it go sour for several people. Obviously, we are the minority in the successful side of things. But it's really cool to be able to be like, hey, this is my wife. How'd you guys meet? Oh, we both wrestle. And then it's a million more stories. Have you guys ever wrestled each other? Yeah, several times. One time she put a cactus to my forehead. And one time we did a match where I hit her with a chair. It's so funny to me because like I can't in any other context, if I just said either of those two things, I'd be in jail and she'd be in jail. But like it's really cool. We've had my favorite match of last year, honestly, and not even just saying it because she is my wife, was against her. Dropkick Depression, also on IWTV, To Infinity and Beyond was the name of the show. That was my favorite match of last year, and we've had so many fun times. We've gone to the Gathering of the Juggalos, neither of us being Juggalos, but we've done that together to wrestle. Had a match in front of a bunch of Juggalos at 3 a.m. where one of them hit me, and at the Gathering, you can't do anything back because they're all there for that one thing. And if I did that, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. Yeah, we've gotten to live out some weird experiences within our first, I want to say 6 months of dating, maybe even less. We slept in a car on the road together. And so, it's a lot of things that nobody can really say except for us and except for somebody who was able to make a wrestling relationship successful, which there's even less of them out there. So it's really cool to get to say, like, hey, my best friend has also been my tag partner, has also been my opponent. We've hit each other stiff plenty of times in the ring. We've had great comedy matches together in the ring. So in wrestling, when you bleed, oftentimes it's because you cut yourself. Everybody knows this now. It was in a mainstream movie. I can say this and not get in trouble. We had a match once in New York where I lost my razor blade and I went, hey, can I use yours? And I would never say that to anybody else, but I was like, hey, if you have something, I have something at this point already. Both of us tested, both of us are clean. But yeah, that was a thing that we're, hey, can we shared a razor blade on our foreheads to make ourselves bleed. So it's a bizarre life that we live, but I love it and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Oh, I love that.
Aw.
Wholesome content.
And I'm glad, I heard her leave a little while ago, so I'm glad she won't come in here and be like, don't tell that story. Now you sound like perverts.
That's so cute. No, I love it. I love it. This is what
Is it cute?
About.
Is that how you
Well,
describe
you know,
cutting?
no, just like, you know, that you guys like shared so much together. Maybe not that particular.
Nope, just the blades.
Yeah,
Just the
screw
blades.
that.
That's-
I like
that's all
all
that's
that
cute.
like death match and light tube. So like, I'm all for it. No,
There you go. There you go.
no, but I'm here for all wholesome content, and I love, you know.
Exactly.
So thank
I'm the
you
most
for sharing
wholesome
that.
deathmatch wrestler there is.
No, but thank you for sharing that. I really, you know, I really love that. So, okay. So let's move on. So this one was a good question that I thought would be fun. So if you were able to create your own soda, what elements would it need to have?
It's funny because I've probably been asked that question like 3 other times, not too much, and my answer probably changes every single time. This all started because I really like root beer, and I found a root beer I never had, and I was like, let me make a funny video about this. But really, I think if I were at this point, and again, like I said, if you ask me this tomorrow, it might change. I just recently reviewed like a spicy ginger ale, and we've been talking about spicy this whole time. I would probably go with some kind of like ultra, like strong ginger flavored ginger ale, something that really like it burns your throat and you feel it kind of going down, because I love stuff like that.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I'll go with like a real spicy ginger ale, tie it into the flaming table, tie it into the pain that I feel every day because of the poor decisions I make in my life and falling down over and over again. So I will go with there's no alliteration with Jeff Cannonball and ginger ale, so we'll just call it ginger ale.
Wow.
The fact that in my head I was like, I kind of want to try that now is very bad.
There you go.
I just had a ginger ale yesterday that I put up on Twitter, WBC spicy ginger ale. It kicks you pretty hard, and I loved it. So I would like to just up that times 100 and make it more hard to drink.
Might have to try that now. I have to look that up.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Highly recommended.
He's like writing it down right now.
Yeah,
I
I'm
actually
gonna
see
keep
him
that
with
in the notes.
the pen, the paper. He's writing it down. So
And if you forget, again, it's on my Twitter, it's on my Instagram. You can go look it up anytime.
awesome.
There we go.
Go, Ray.
Okay, so we're winding it down here. We're down to our final two. For me, I'm gonna end off with this. What is the end goal for Jeff Cannonball? What would you like your legacy to be?
End goal, I don't know, honestly, because like I said before, I am a fat person of moderate average height. I don't see myself being on TV every week. I'm very realistic about that, and that's not like me being like, oh, boo-hoo. I'm not delusional. I know what they look for, and I am not what anybody looks for. I've gotten to sit on an airplane that somebody else paid for to go wrestle across the country. I've gotten to up my passport to go wrestle in other countries. I don't know what the end goal is. I think I've just had enough fun being me and doing what I do. If I could make it so that I didn't have to work the full-time job, that would be an awesome end goal. I don't see it happening. Again, not sad about it. But you know, got to have goals. I would like to do something like some kind of extra work just to be like, hey, Dad, look at this, because I got into wrestling because my dad watched wrestling when I was a kid, and he wasn't watching death matches. He was watching WWF and NWA and things like that. So if I could have that like one extra thing, not even like a match, just hey, there I am in the background, to like, hey, parents, like I know you think I'm an idiot for cutting myself up. Both parents nothing but supportive throughout everything. Probably not the happiest with the scars I have and everything like that, but what parent would? Something like that. I guess that would be a good goal to have at this point. I've hit a bunch of goals, honestly. So I'm sorry if that answer is not the best. Um,
No, that's perfect. It's,
No,
it's
yeah.
whatever. Again,
It's real, like,
yeah,
that's what we like around
100%.
here.
If I got to have a match on TV, even cooler. But if I don't, I'm not sad about it. Like I said, TOD was the goal for a while. I hit TOD. Um, I was told by Matt Tremont years and years and years ago that when you sit on a plane on somebody else's dime, that means you made it. I did that. A person who looks like me should not have done that. So I've done more than somebody who looks like me should have done, and I understand that. As far as the legacy goes, and I think I've got a good footing in this. This is the one. This is probably the cockiest thing you'll ever hear me say. I just want to be somebody who was a good person in the locker room. I don't care about having the best match. I just want to be an entertaining dude. And if people think like, or if people know that I'm a good person underneath all of that, whether I'm, cutting myself up or drinking soda in a ring or having just a wrestling match, which I do that sometimes too, believe it or not. I like to be the guy that's like good to be around. And I think it's just because, like I said, I know I'm not going to be some superstar. So at the end of the day, uh, I want people to know that I, as Jeff Guerrero, is a nice person, is a decent dude, and it's not all about just look what a superstar I am out there. And if they like what I do wrestling wise, that's even better. That's awesome too. But everybody has their own opinions. Nobody's universally liked, I don't think. But I'd like to be at least somebody who's on that who skews heavily to the positive side, which I think I've got a good footing in that, I believe.
Definitely. And we love it here on the No Holds Barred Network as well, because we're all about the positivity here. So with that being said, to finish off with one final question, to all inspiring and amateur wrestlers out there, what's a piece of advice that you would give them?
Uh, if it's something you want to do, don't listen to anybody who says you shouldn't. Honestly, I am a big believer in, hey, like this is your life, and if it's something that is going to bring joy to you, go do it. And if it seems like it's too hard one day, come back the next day because that was just one day, and it's if you want it, it's gonna get easier on you. Could I do everything I used to do in training at this point in my life? Absolutely not, because I've gained weight since then. I've hurt my body too many times since then. But just keep your head down. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't listen to anybody else, because if it's what you want to do, it's what you want to do. You'd rather get through. And I'm rambling here. I apologize, but the way I look at it, and the reason I kind of was finally like, hey, let me go do training finally, and I didn't do that until I was in college, was pretty much, hey, like I don't want to be older and be like, oh man, I always want to be a wrestler. I never actually tried it. Like I didn't want that. It's something I always want to do, so it's something I made happen. It's not easy, but if it's something that you want to do, at least give it a try. Honestly, like what's the worst thing to come of that? And if you decide it's not for you once you start, that's okay too. You keep enjoying wrestling, but don't listen to anybody who tells you it's not for you. Give it your try for yourself. See it for yourself first. When I first started, straight up, I'll even say it because he will admit to it too. I was told by several people, including Dane DeMonto, that I was way too nice for wrestling and that it's not going to fit. And here I am 10 years later where he pays me every month. So that shows what that does. But yeah, my biggest thing, honestly, my biggest advice is do it. Just get up and go do it. Don't keep saying you're going to start tomorrow and things like that. I'm not the best motivational speaker, and I apologize, but you'll be much happier once you give it a shot.
No, I love that. I love that. So,
awesome.
It was great stuff. So tell everybody, I mean, all your information's in the description below, but tell everybody where they can find you.
Twitter and Instagram, it's both at Jeff Cannonball. Facebook, it's my real name, Jeff Guerrero, which is why I have no problem saying it earlier. It's got Cannonball in parentheses, but Facebook went and realized that Cannonball is not my God name. They figured me out, so I had to use my real name on there. But yeah, go find me on there. I'm not as active on Facebook. I just recently got active on Twitter because short soda reviews. I don't know. I love Instagram. And I made a TikTok that's just short soda reviews because everybody kept telling me I have to. I absolutely hate it, and it gives me a legitimate headache every time I open it. So I will keep updating that if that's the thing you do. If not, I'm not mad at you. Just go follow my Twitter and all that. Who knows what's happening with wrestling right now? But if there's a show coming up, I'm gonna post on my Twitter probably before anything.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and you guys are great. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Under the Ropes. Hope you guys had fun. Please share it. like and all that fun stuff, and make sure you follow the network, the No Holds Barred Network. Anything else, Ray, that I'm forgetting here?
No, that's about it. Thank you guys again for watching, and Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. This was great.
Yes.
This was an
Thank
awesome
you.
time.
And everybody tweet at Tony Deppen and tell him what a piece of garbage he is.
I'm gonna
Leave
clip
on
it.
that note.
I'm gonna clip it for him. So, guys, thank you guys again, and make sure you tune in next week, or we get Steve Scott. We're gonna ask him about this pizza
Yep, we definitely have
story.
to bring that back up.
Yes, we're gonna
Oh,
bring that
God.
up next week. So make sure you tune in next Monday where we sit and chat with him. But for now, guys, thank you again, and we shall talk to you soon.
There's so